Okay, a bit of a different camera angle, and I am going to be putting together the little cupboard that's going to go into the little kitchen area of our little house we're making. So I have glued one piece and realized I hadn't turned the camera on. So let's get this together. I am just using cardstock, heavyweight cardstock. I think it's a 110-pound craft cardstock, and that's what I'm going to be putting it together, or using to make it. It's not going to be fancy. Please keep in mind this is a mouse. It's not a human. It's a little mouse. So, yeah. Use that. So I can square up those ends. And I'm just using Elmer's glue in this little tiny tipped thing because it works much better. Okay, so now I have to find, and because I say I have to find, I did not mark my pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and glue one side and the edge of this because this is my bottom. My shelves are also the same size. But I won't be putting many shelves in either, simply because the size is very small and I want to be able to actually put things on them. So I went with 3/8 inch shelves, and I'm hoping I'll have some things that are tiny enough to go on those. So let's get this bottom glued in. And that'll stabilize the whole little cupboard, I hope. Get everything matched up nice and even so everything is straight. I know my hands are in the way. It's a very small project. Like I said, I am not building to a scale. I am just building. So checking to see if that looks pretty even. And I think it does. So that's just, it's just going to be a very simple little hutch, or as the British call it, Welsh dresser. So like I said, it's not going to be anything fancy, just something that our little mouse can keep some food and other items if she needs to. It's at this point in the video that I decide I'm going to speed things up. I realize that you really can't see. In a lot of spots my lighting is very, very bad. And when we get to the sink part, I somehow lost some footage, I think. I'm not gonna, kid you guys. I had some issues. I, for some reason, did some measurements wrong. So there's just going to be a lot of my hands on the way gluing and a lot of my cutting down parts because I made them too big. And I don't know why. But it happened. I was trying to get this video finished up last night because I needed to get it on today. The little shelf and the sink I eventually make here turned out really cute. And I think they're going to be perfect for our little mouse house, as you'll see in the end. The premise of where the mouse got her furniture is that there's a dollhouse shop down the road, and anything that's broken or they don't want to use, she goes there quite regularly. It's kind of like a thrift store for a mouse. So here I'm just gluing, and I'm putting the little top on the base part of the cabinet or cupboard. And I'm just using this little glue bottle with Elmer's glue because I really like those bottles, but I can't get tacky glue to work in them. It's just too thick, I think, for the little nozzle. And I didn't want to dilute it down, so I'm using Elmer's glue, and then in part of it, you'll see me go back to using the tacky glue. I want to apologize for my hands being in the way and for the lighting. I thought if I changed locations and I went where I didn't have so much junk all piled up, like on my crafting table, I thought that would, help. But the lighting sucked, and I had to use a tripod on the floor, and it's not the quality of video I want to bring you. So I saw that this piece, I'd cut that just a tiny bit off, and later off camera I sanded, and my cupboard wasn't even or level, and I did some sanding on the bottom, and I did some sanding on the top, and in the end it all came out good. So at this point the dresser is built. I've lost some footage. I don't know what happened to it. But you'll see it sitting there kind of here. I'm going to show you now. That's how it turned out, and I think it's pretty cute for a very simple dresser, or I'm calling it a dresser now. I watch a lot of British miniaturists, and so the dresser thing is kind of sticking in my mind, but our little hutch or Welsh dresser, I think it turned out pretty cute. It's very simple, but it's gonna work for the mouse. If you hear anything in the background, my cat Ash has a cold and he is sneezing. He seems to be better today, so that's good. So now I've got my pieces for my sink, and I decided for the bowl of the sink I was just going to use a little wooden bowl that I had here. And I've already cut the top with the hole in it. And again with the sink, I had some problems. This build just wasn't going well on either thing, but they do work out in the end. Excuse my sniffles, I've got a cold too. It's that time of year. It's snowing today, and I'm dreading that because I have to go to work. And I saw the wind came up a little bit, and I drive 20 miles to work, and then I come home at 10:30 at night. And there's some spots on the road where the blowing and drifting is just, I don't like it. And I've lived here all my life in this area. So now I'm just putting a line of glue on so that I can get the sides glued on this sink. And I do believe in a little bit I will be speeding this one up also, because as I said, this build just wasn't going good, and all you're really seeing is my hands. And again, I apologize for that. I think I'm going to try to get these videos on YouTube by 4 o'clock every day. I think that would be a good time. Maybe I didn't speed this part up. No, I think I left this part. Sorry, it's very boring just watching my hands. And again, I did have a few cuts that were a little off. Thank goodness they were all long and not short, so I didn't have to, I didn't have to recut the whole piece. I just had to trim them down. So I've got the sides on this now, and This is the base, and I think this is where I have another problem with, because what I was going to do with the sink is I was going to go under both sides, but it didn't work really well. I decided not to go under the sides, but to just stay in between like I had done on the others. So in a minute here, I'll speed it up and we'll get through that. I really like this little glue bottle. I got it off Amazon, and I really like it for tiny little things like doing this. So now that I've got that, I'm getting it glued in, I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up. So I'm just kind of taking my time here, lining it up, trying to get it to everything to be just nice and even and straight. And here, I believe, yep, you'll see me. I just need to take off just a little bit on the end of this. I was just a little bit off, so I'm cutting that, and I'm just eyeballing it because I tell you, I can measure it out and measure it out, and it just, eyeballing it seems to work for me. So I'm just cutting it there and getting that piece off, and now I'm gluing it in. Getting it all straightened up and setting it there, and yeah. So now I'm back and I am going to start painting the little hutch. I'm using a color, it's an old color and it's a light greenish, and I love the color, but I can't remember if it's called desert cactus or cactus flower or something like that. It's an old paint. I've had it a long time, and it's getting kind of thick, and I'm running out of it. And I really hope I can find that color again, but it's a very old paint, so I don't have much hope. So I'm just painting this little bit here with you. I do go over it off camera and give it a second coat, but again, I don't want everything to be perfect because this is all old used stuff. And again, you really can't see much of what I'm doing because my hands are in the way. I guarantee you I am going to go back to my craft room, back to the overhead shot on the camera, so that you can see what I'm doing. I am very disappointed in the way this video turned out. But once you've made things and you're done with them and you go to run it through the editor so you can, you know, link all of your different videos you've done to get to the final process, then you see exactly how bad it is. So lesson learned, we're going back to the craft room. I'm going to speed it up here so that you don't have to just sit and watch me paint. I'm just kind of trying to get those little edges. As I said, nothing's perfect. Not in this little mouse house. But I think it's going to be so cute when it's done. And you'll see at the end I did a shot of it with the little covered in sink in there, and I realized some things are going to look a little bigger than others, some things are going to look a little smaller, but I think it's all going to add to the overall charm of this little house once we get it done. So now I'm going to start on the sink. I'm letting the little dresser dry with its first coat. And I'm going to start on the little bowl for the sink. And I only really need to paint the inside of it and around the rim, because that's all it's going to show when I get it in there. And again, very tiny thing. My hands are in the way. This was not ideal. And I'm just showing you, I just painted the whole thing white, that was it. And I only used one coat. I don't want this to look perfect or brand new either. So yeah, I just did the one coat. This is my sink top. This turned out to be a very frustrating and not good idea. I have some contact paper, and I thought, wow, that really looks like, a countertop. And I'm going to be using it in the farmhouse, so maybe it's a good thing I learned my lesson here. I'm just trimming off the back right here. This did not want to stick down. I put some glue on the contact paper on the sticky surface itself because I really wanted it to stick down nice and smooth, and I couldn't get the edges to glue under. It took forever. I did a lot of it off camera because it was just that bad. And so now I was trying to get the sticky stuff off and get it in the garbage. It kept sticking to me. So I have that hole cut where the sink is going to go in, and that's where the problem really started. I cut out, and then I cut some little I just snipped at the sides of it to fold it backwards. And yeah, at this point I'm at where I'm putting the diamond glaze in, because that sink, nothing wanted to stick. I did get a couple of bubbles in my contact paper, and one of them I was able to fix, and the other, it's kind of still there, but it goes with the rustic charm of the little house. Here I decided I wanted some diamond glaze. I don't want it really glossy, but I wanted more than just paint over a wooden bowl. And then I realized my diamond glaze was clogged. So I got that all taken care of. And I'm just wiping off my pin that I put in my little bottle of glue. And now I'm putting some diamond glaze into the sink area. And somewhere in all this, I lost the footage of where I put that top on. I had it, but then again, it was just a big, huge struggle. So you didn't really need to watch that anyway. And what you'll see when I show the little hutch and sink in the house, that you'll see a little piece go across the top of the sink, and then it's open underneath. What I want to do there is put a little curtain on there like they used to have back in the day. They would put little curtains across their sinks. And I think this was the point where I decided I needed more diamond glaze. And then right after this little segment, I lost the footage of me putting it in and putting the top on. And I apologize. This was not a quality video, and you deserve better, and you will get it. I'm sorry. So yeah, there's the front of it, and so you'll see that little piece across the front of there, and then I want to attach a little curtain in there. And there's the top of the sink, and you can probably see my bubbles and ripples. These are why these dollhouse furniture items got thrown out. They weren't perfect, and someone had obviously played with them before. So I'm just going to be gluing the top onto the sink now, and I'll be setting everything aside to let it dry, and we'll take a look at them in the little house in just a minute. So let's take a little look at what we've got done. This is the little cupboard and the little sink unit in what's going to be the little kitchen area of the house. So yeah, there it is. See you next time.